Hello and welcome to episode 6 of Motorsports with Motorhead. First off, I want to say sorry for the delay. I was sadly sick last week, so I was unable to record. You definitely would not have wanted to listen to that for an hour. So, sorry, but that has led to this week where we're going to do a double episode. Today is going to be episode part 1. Tomorrow is going to be part 2. Today's all NASCAR. Going to be talking about both Xfinity races and Cup races from the last 2 weekends. Tomorrow's going to be NHRA a little bit, some Outlaw, High Limit, F1, and IndyCar. So I didn't want to put out one super long episode as I felt like that would just be a little bit too much. So I figured if I put out 2 separate ones, kind of let some of y'all that are only interested in the NASCAR or the other sports that I cover pick and choose a little bit what you want to listen to. So that's how we're just going to go ahead and do it for this week. Starting off, I am going to go ahead and take it back to Sonoma. Going to be talking about the Xfinity race. They were basically picking it up where we left off in Chicago. Telling you, Junior Motorsports must be loving it every time they have SVG and Connor Zilisch in a race together. They started off first and second, SVG being on the pole. And he did take the lead, Connor Zilisch took the lead on lap 2. SVD did take the lead on lap 1, though. Zilisch would actually stay in front of him for most of the stage. They would both pit near the end of the stage, which would give up the lead. Then they would actually start off yet again, 1 and 2 for stage 2. So, kind of cool to see that continuing on. The two of them racing absolutely amazingly together. At one point later on during stage 3, as SVG was trying to pass Connor Zilisch for the lead, he actually gives him the thumbs up. Oh, I'm sorry, it wasn't stage 3, it was stage 2. He gives him the thumbs up. And I think that was really cool. You see him put the thumbs up out the window, just saying, hey, good job, this is a lot of fun. We've seen SVG do that a couple times in the past. I know he's done it with Kyle Larson even. So it's just a really cool thing to see that he's having fun with it, and he knows that he's having a good race with someone else. Connor Zilisch being able to hang in there with a veteran like SVG is really cool to see. I think that he's going to have a lot of great things to come whenever. And I know I've mentioned that before, but it's just another thing for me to keep talking about, as he's just going to be one of those names. But I really like that together for them. Brandon Jones, he would actually win stage 2. Sam Mayer won stage 1. Again, they really only won due to the fact that Connor Zilisch and SVG kept pitting together. And they'd be near the end of the stage because they weren't going for stage points, they're going for the win. For one, SVG doesn't actually race in the Xfinity Series, so for him, points don't really matter. Connor Zilisch, yes, points do matter for him. He is doing really well in the standings right now, though. I'll talk more about that after we go into the next race. But he was going for the win, so that's why they both kept pitting near the end. Definitely don't blame him on that. Good moment for Brandon Jones, though. I know he needed some of the points. Same with Sam Mayer, so them getting some more playoff points themselves also a good thing. But really, the whole time it was just the Connor Zilisch and SVG show, and I think it was an entertaining race to go for them. They went off 1-2 to begin the race and at the start of each stage, and they even finished the race 1-2. But going into near the end, 2 to go, SVG finally got a little bit of a run and nudged the back of Zilisch. They both get a little squirrely, and Zilisch actually still came out on top of that. And that was really about it. SVG wasn't entirely able to get back to him. And I'll be honest, watching the replay, he didn't mean to get into him. It's just he had a run. Connor just kind of braked a little bit early. Not even really saying braked early. It's SVG. He knows how to be able to brake later going into any of the corners. So I think that he just kind of outbraked Connor, and that's what caused the contact there with that. And they're teammates at the time. They're good friends, it seems. They talk back and forth on social media all the time. So I've seen a lot of people be like, well, that was not cool. He tried doing a bump and run for the win after he put Connor almost in the wall out in Chicago. So I saw some fans kind of complaining about how they've been racing each other, but at the end of both races, neither racer had anything bad to say about the other. In fact, they both said how much fun they had. So I don't have any issue with it. And again, watching the replay, SVG definitely didn't mean to do it. Plus, Connor still won. So it's not like SVG did a bump and run or anything either. So it's just, I think it was good hard racing, and it was quite entertaining. So I absolutely liked it. Like I said, Connor Zilic, he did win. SVG would finish second, exact opposite of Chicago, where you had SVG on top. Connor Zilic finishing second. So just real fun to see that back and forth between the two of them out on the track, like I've been saying. And at the end of the racing, I mean, it's really awesome. I think that Junior's probably loving this for his corporation. I think it's a lot of fun for all of them. And we'll be seeing round 3 of SVG versus Zilic at Watkins Glen here in just a little while. So I think that's going to be another great fun time, road course. We've had quite a few of those this year, and I know some drivers are getting a little bit tired of it. But before I get entirely into that, I'm going to go ahead and talk about Dover for Xfinity. I just want to go ahead and talk about the Xfinity stuff first. I don't have as much to talk about with it. And then we'll get into the Cup, where I have more stories, more things to be able to get into. But Dover, cool little shout out to Rajah Caruth, who is one of the guys I follow in the Truck Series. I have a few of his small cars up on my wall. Love that he's a Spire driver, and that Hendrick Motorsports, or at least Hendrick.com, Cars.com, sponsors him, so it's really cool. I've seen him get a lot of praise from the other Hendrick boys, so it makes me wonder if someday he won't be driving for them. But he did drive the number 32, and he finished 22nd, but still a nice shout out to him. He's driven in Xfinity before, just as a guest appearance driver, so it's not his first time in an Xfinity car, but definitely cool to see him get a little bit more experience in it. I know there's some rumors going around that Spire Motorsports themselves might be going into Xfinity starting as soon as next year. Any of those rumors I've seen does have Rajah Caruth's picture attached to it. So I don't really want to say anything for sure, because I don't really want to say that they're even reliable sources, but if that is what is to happen, I think that'd be really cool. And I believe that he would be the correct driver for Spire to be able to use to go up into Xfinity. Now, if that's not what happens, I would like to see Rajah move up into Xfinity, whether it be driving for Junior or even a different team, working his way up towards that Cup ride, which I still think could be at Hendrick. So just cool for him. I wish he maybe would have finished a little bit higher up the 22nd, but just to be able to get a little bit more experience in the Xfinity car, I think is going to do him well in the future. So, other than that, you had 2 rookies starting off first and second for the race. It was Taylor Gray and Nick Sanchez. Connor Zilic would start in 3rd, and Justin Allgaier would start in 37th. The reason why I'm mentioning Justin Allgaier is because he went from 37th to 7th by the end of Stage 1. Going back and really watching it again, he was just flying through the pack. And one of the things I liked that the commentators even mentioned was that that's the most fun part of the race for some drivers. When you're just being able to cruise, going in and out of other cars, and just going on by, it's fun. And watching it's fun. I think it would be a lot of fun to be able to be in the car with him in a moment like that, because he probably felt like the other cars were just standing still. Made 30 passes in just Stage 1 alone. I think that's awesome. So, congratulations to him on that. He didn't do bad for the rest of the race, but I just wanted to give him even that little bit of a shout out, because they even talked about it in the booth. To go from 37th all the way up to 7th, that takes some talent right there. And he had a great car as well, so that's really nice. To finish the stage, Taylor Gray he would lead all 45 laps and win. JGR goes 1, 2, 3 in stage 1. It's going to be Taylor Gray, Eric Almirola, and Brandon Jones. Ross Chastain, who is guest driver, he also finished 5th in stage 1. So just really cool seeing all of them up there. Connor Zilic finished 4th. So you have some nice big names with Xfinity, have some rookies. JGR, they're doing good in the Xfinity series right now. So it's just really cool to see everything going on there. Sadly, issues on pit lane would cause Taylor Gray to restart all the way back in 15th for stage 2. He would kind of work his way back up into the top 10, but all honesty, the mess up on pit road really ruined his day. There was no way for him to really get all the way back up for a win. Hate to see that for a rookie, especially someone who started on the pole, showed some good promise all the way through stage 1. Like I said, he led every lap there, so at least he got a good stage win that's helpful for him and his team. But at this point in the season, I know even the commentators talking about, you sometimes you got to go for the win, or you're trying to see about points still being a possibility. It's getting tougher and tougher, and it's definitely becoming crunch time for some of these teams. So that he was hoping for a little bit better of an ending for his day, and hopefully they figure out whatever it was on pit road, because I honestly couldn't even see what exactly it was. He just had a real long pit, and I went back, tried to watch it a few times. Sadly, I couldn't find any more information on it. Was it an issue with the wheel or what? But pit road, man, it can make or break your race. And I know it's been stuff that's been talked about in the past. It's cost a lot of drivers, or it's helped a lot of drivers. Kyle Larson can thank his team for his 2021 championship because of the fact they were the fastest on pit lane that day, multiple times. And he thanked them, and his whole team knew that it was thanks to them, and I think that was really good acknowledgement. So we see that, sadly, it can go the opposite direction. Your pit road messes up, that could be the end. It's sadly cost Kyle Busch a couple of championships, I know. Denny Hamlin losing the tire and everything. So, it can hurt you. So I feel bad for him on that part. Hopefully he does good next week. We'll kind of see how it goes for him. Due to his issue, though, Brandon Jones and Connor Zilic would start off at 1-2. You would have Justin Allgaier starting 3rd. So awesome for him, starting 37th for stage 1. Stage 2 starts 3rd. Nothing else really happens for stage 2, though. Connor Zilic took the lead right away, led every lap. He goes on to win stage 2. Kyle Siege decides to stay out at the end of the stage on a little bit older tires. Starts stage 3 first, with Zilic in 2nd, Brandon Jones in 3rd, Justin Allgaier again in now 4th. Zilic does take the lead, and the rest of the field basically splits apart, and poor Kyle Siege just gets eaten alive. Drops all the way back to 10th, kind of fights his way back up to 8th, and then drops back down to 9th, kind of stalemates there for a little bit of the race. Bit of a risky move for them staying out. It was better than them starting in the very back, I guess. They got up into a top 10 position instead, but makes you wonder if they shouldn't have still gone in for some tires, because rewatching it even a couple times now, it was kind of crazy how the field just splits apart and you just see him fall back. Luckily he was able to get back in line and not keep falling, but I feel like if he wouldn't have forced the issue a little bit and get himself back in line, it would have just kept going, and he might have been all the way in the back of the field. Sadly, Ross Chastain, who'd been running in the top 10 all day, has an issue on lap 107 and goes into the pits. That kind of ended the day for him, it being late in the race. And if just a few laps later, you're going to get a caution for rain. Turns into a red flag, and that turns into a Connor Zilic win because the rain got the race rained out. So, a little bit of a lackluster ending to that. Really wish that we could have got to see that go green. But safety, as I always talk about, that's a very big thing. It was getting dark. I saw a lot of fans, there was enough daylight, this and that. They still had to dry the track. We'll kind of see a little bit of a repeat of this for Sunday, but unlike for Sunday, they just didn't have enough time. So if they had enough time, I think they would have had the track get dried out and they would have raced it out. But I don't think it's something we should complain about. It was still a good race for the rest of the time. Not really anything to say, it was phenomenal. It was just a good race. You had nice hard racing throughout. I know there was a lot of passes for the lead, but you had guys that were driving through the entire field, just even through stage one. So it's not like there wasn't any entertainment to be had. It's just I saw some fans calling it a boring race, and I don't get that. Again, it goes back to the whole we don't need to have accidents for things to be good. It does also make me wonder too, how much is that on the booth? I think it's the CW for Xfinity right now, and the booth has a lot to do with the issues for these races, and that's how I feel for TNT right now too. And I know part of it's Amazon. They put such a high bar, but now that we were given that, it's what we want. And I don't like seeing how the booths even are. I don't like the booth. I've talked about that before. I don't like it. I would rather listen to MRN radio. Those announcers to me get way more into it, and it makes me feel like the race is more enjoyable. But that's why I think some people are complaining about this one. So I look past the booth the best I can. Yes, it sucks because you have to rely on them for camera coverage and everything, but nowadays too, you can be able to go through social media. Part of the reason I do try and delay putting these out, not usually this long, but just in general, because I like to be able to go through things, kind of see some stuff. Jeff Gluck even mentioned just last week, after seeing a different angle of an incident, oh man, I really wish I would have saw that before I did my teardown podcast, because he does it right after the race, and I pay applauds to him. I think that's absolutely awesome. Being there, seeing it all in person almost every week, I definitely get why he does that. I definitely don't though, because I'm not there in person, and for me, I want to take the time to really look into things and make sure I'm getting my facts straight whenever it comes to any stories, big news, driver confrontations, anything like that. That way I'm not coming in here and saying things that are inaccurate. And maybe as time goes on, I'm able to learn things quicker. I can be able to put out the podcast a little bit sooner. But for right now, I'm also trying to be cautious because I just want to get it right. But shout out to him for that, though. And I watch his teardown every week, and I always like Jeff's views, especially whenever he talks about the playoff system or anything. I don't want to get too much into that. That's his own stuff. If you ever want to look into that, check out Jeff Gluck. He's on Twitter. He even has links, everything to all of his stories he puts out, and he's real good at what he does. So go check him out for sure. But for Xfinity, I want to talk about the standings after Dover for both playoff and driver. And the reason why I want to talk about both playoff and driver is because there are a few differences. Now, for Xfinity, it's not as much as it is for Cup, but there's still a couple. And I see this year, very big topic everywhere is the playoff system, especially with SVG. And, even a little bit with Connor Zilich's up, I see people talking. So, standings for playoffs, top 5 only. I'm not going to go through the whole stand, I just want to do top 5. Justin Allgaier, Connor Zilich, Austin Hill, Jesse Love, and Brandon Jones. Now, going to driver, again, Justin Allgaier, Connor Zilich, now Sam Mayer. But Sam Mayer is 8th in the playoffs. Austin Hill, Jesse Love. The one missing off that list that was on the other list is Brandon Jones. And it's because of Sam Mayer. Again, Sam Mayer, 8th in playoffs. 3rd in driver standings. So, he's at least still in the playoffs, unlike other drivers whenever it comes to, they're in, but barely for Cup. But we'll get to that here in a few minutes. For the last thing on Xfinity, Junior Motorsports sitting pretty good right now when it comes to the owner championship, because they are sitting 1-2, thanks to Justin Allgaier and Connor Zilich.
Then you have third, which is Haas factory team, no longer Stuart Haas after his departure. And then 4 and 5, both are RCR. Chevy has 17 total wins for this season. Toyota has 2. And Ford has 0. Poor Ford. And poor Penske. Any of you that don't know what I'm talking about, well, tune in tomorrow for that. That's going to wrap it up for Xfinity, though. Like I said, I didn't have as much to talk about there. Definitely more with Cup. I'm still enjoying the Xfinity series. I see the complaints that people have about some of the racing, how they wish that the Cup racing was better, and that they think the Xfinity cars would be better for Cup. Some of the Cup drivers seem to like the Xfinity cars better, but I don't think that's the solution myself. I think we need to improve the Cup car. I like this next gen. It's just there's some different packages that they need to do. So we'll see how they hopefully can adjust that to make the racing as good. But Xfinity's been fun. And I've been loving seeing Junior Motorsports do as well as they have been. Connor Zilic. He won at Dover. That's awesome. That's another oval win for him. He's not just a road course master. He can be able to race on the oval. And that's 2 in a row for him. So I think that's really awesome. I'd like to see that keep going. And I don't know. Justin Allgaier, are we going to see him win his second championship? Be back-to-back champion? Or are we going to see rookie Connor Zilic take that away from him? I think that's going to be exciting to watch. And either way, either one wins, Junior Motorsports is sitting high and mighty, aren't they? So, we'll see. But I truly am excited to see how the rest of the season plays out for the Xfinity Series. Now on over to the one that I know almost every one of you that listens to this follows. And that is the Cup Series. Just like I did for Xfinity, we're going to talk about Sonoma first, the road course, and then we'll get into Dover. SVG, SVG, SVG. That is basically all you need to know about Sonoma. Of course, I'm going to break it down a little bit more because it's me. But yeah, SVG type of day. If he would have outdueled Connor, then we would have had another back-to-back weekend for him. But he didn't beat Connor. He did, however, defeat the entire Cup Series. SVG started off stage 1 with the pole. Chase Briscoe started second. SVG instantly went to the lead, and William Byron started fourth, got to second himself. Those two honestly kind of led a lot of the first stage. He ended up pitting. SVG pit with 3 to go. I'll be honest, a lot of the other field followed with him, including Byron. Ross Chastain would win stage 1 due to that, but then Ross would end up pitting, giving the lead to SVG yet again. So it was SVG and Byron going 1-2 for stage 2. Chase Briscoe would start third. Not a lot really happens until lap 46, where Ross Chastain would get into the back of Daniel Suarez in turn 11. It was due to a stack up. Those two are still teammates. I know they won't be at the end of this year, but for the time being, they are. And watching that one, it was really just a stack up. Daniel Suarez did turn around because of the contact. Lost himself some spots. Ross didn't really say much on the radio from what I heard, but I'm sure the two of them said some sort of "I'm sorry" later on, and racing incident. It does suck, but again, there's nothing like Ross was intentionally doing it. I know that some people think that that's the type of person Ross is, but again, they're teammates. I really don't see him doing that to a teammate, especially so early in the race, as it was only stage 2. But hey, whatever. SVG would pit yet again near the end of the stage. It would give Kyle Larson the lead. Larson was trying to go for the stage win, be able to get some points, capitalize. Yeah. SVG drove past him. In fact, he passed him in 3A with 2 laps to go in the stage. And he would go on to win the stage. Absolutely dominating. SVG pits and then still is able to pass Larson, and honestly, with kind of ease. And I know Larson was on older tires, don't get me wrong, but just, wow. Watching the replay again, I'm like, dang, he just goes right around him. And it's cool. I don't mind seeing that. I know that a lot of people are going to be surprised hearing that, because I am such a Hendrick fan, but it was still really cool. Especially because SVG then went on to win the stage. Something that his team, they were like, hey, we're going to go ahead and pit. We're never going to give up the stage win, but we're going for the race win. And then boom, you get the stage win as well. That's just a little bit extra icing on the cake right there. I think that's really cool. All right, stage 3, SVG yet again to the lead. Not a whole lot happens till lap 62. Blaney and Chris Buescher both fighting for the 3rd position. Make a little bit of contact, and then a little bit more contact, and finally a little bit more contact. And that sends Blaney off into the dirt, up a little bit of a hill, nudges the tire barrier oh so slightly, and is stuck there high-centered. They have to actually get the wrecker out there to be able to get him unstuck. Does not ruin his day entirely by ending it, but ruins it in the fact that he was sent to the back of the field. Listening on his radio for that, he was definitely not happy. But watching the replay, I'll be honest, that was just another racing incident on a road course. He can be upset all he wants, but both drivers were just not given any. They were both trying to take everything. And at some point or another, that's going to bite you. And he got bit. So I'm not going to say I feel sorry for him. Feel sorry for any of his fans, because at that point you kind of know your driver's day is over and you're stuck at this road course for the rest of the time. Maybe not entirely loving it, but still entertaining to watch and go back and listen to. If any of you want to listen to something kind of funny, really listen to Ryan Blaney's radio from this past race. It's pretty entertaining. He gets upset with a couple different drivers. And I saw some people on Twitter and stuff later on talking about it, because he was all, if I get back to them, blah, blah, blah. And they were like, yeah, Ryan Blaney, he's all talk, this and that. It's like, well, because he's mad in the moment, but then he calms down. He's not going to intentionally wreck someone, especially knowing that NASCAR is probably listening in on the radios. He goes and intentionally wrecks that person. Now he's getting fined, penalized, all this other stuff. And these guys don't want to do that. They're racing for a championship, even if they aren't for sure in or are for sure in. You know, teams are always racing for that championship until the very end. And even after it's already into the playoffs at that point, they're still racing for charter points and all this other stuff. You know, there's money to be had. So week in and week out, they're all racing. Hard racing. And things are going to happen. And drivers are going to have some emotions. But if they're good about it, they're going to be able to kind of reel themselves in. And I think that he is one of the better ones at that. And I do respect Ryan Blaney for that. I also find it funny about any of his social media posts and everything. He's pretty good with being out there for his fans, being in that commercial and stuff for even the in-season challenge. A lot of fun to be had. So I like when the drivers get to do that and get to kind of let loose a little bit, and it shows that he's a true human being. And moments like that in the car on the radio show that too. These guys are human beings, and they are going to have opinions. He didn't exactly appreciate how Chris Briscoe raced him. I'm sure Briscoe wasn't appreciating how Ryan Blaney was racing him either, though. So, again, neither one was giving up anything. And one of the two was going to lose. So, and Ryan Blaney just got the short end of that one. Also, though, all while that's going on, sadly the cameras didn't exactly catch why, but Bubba Wallace goes for a little bit of a spin in turn 3, and Denny Hamlin spins trying to avoid him. Again, don't exactly know what happened there. Thanks, TNT. Love your camera angles, guys. Love the booth. So love it all. Yeah. SVG would pit with just 26 laps to go, and he would take the lead again rather quickly. Cody Ware, our driver that had the big crash in Chicago, where his body weight actually crushed in the steering wheel. Any of you that want to see that, go check that out. You can be able to find it on YouTube and Twitter. Just type in Cody Ware Chicago wreck, and it's going to be one of the first videos that pops up. Rather scary. And seeing that in-car footage for the first time during the race, actually, wow. That was even a harder hit than I thought it was whenever you see the interior and exactly how much he moves. Even in his Hans device, it's a hard hit, guys. I'm almost shocked he even got to race. Really am. But as the booth is literally following his car, talking about that incident from Chicago, you see his car wiggle a little bit as he's taking a turn. And all of a sudden, you actually see a little piece of something black fly off, which turns out to be the lug nut. And his rear tire falls off, leading to a caution. All while the booth was following him. Funny thing is, I want to say it was Junior, but I don't know for sure if it was Junior, had to cut off another reporter to even say, their wheels coming off right now. Their wheels coming off right now. I was kind of chuckling at that one a little bit because the reporter, she was just so into what she was reporting on and saying that I don't even know if she realized it. And the camera was just following him. And I think Junior just happened to look up and see that, yeah, his wheel was literally coming off at the exact time they were talking about him. So just kind of a funny moment there. And one of the few times in the race where, hey, the camera was actually pointed to the right spot at the right time for the action. That was really cool. I know that it just was one of those timing things. But wow, they got a little bit lucky there. SVG, Chase Briscoe, would start 1-2 on the restart. SVG would take the lead going into turn 1. The 4 spins and can't get going again due to some damage because as he spun, a few other cars kind of hit into him. And the 4, that being Noah Gragson. This would bring out the caution yet again. Race restarts, and Chase Briscoe, SVG, both on the front line. SVG in first place, technically. When it comes to road course, though, guys, I'll be honest, it's weird to say that they're in first or second whenever they first get up to that restart line because it's on who's going to make it to turn 1 first. And they were still almost dead right there with each other going into turn 1 and 2. In fact, all the way into 3, because it wasn't until 3A where it kind of curves a little bit back to the left and it goes back to the right. That's where SVG finally clears Briscoe and gets out in the lead. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. would go into the tire barrier hard off the bumper of Tyler Reddick. This would cause yet another yellow. SVG and Briscoe yet again on the front of the field. And SVG would take the lead into turn 3. And again, those two racing really hard, almost side by side, all the way through turn 1 and 2, up into turn 3. SVG finally gets out enough just to barely clear himself and he takes off. And after each time, whenever SVG would clear himself on Briscoe, that's it. He's gone. But whenever they were right there side by side, Briscoe almost had a chance each time to be able to take the lead. And if he took the lead, I think he could have been able to hold on to at least for a little bit. Not saying it would have led to a win, because holding off SVG behind you is going to be a very, very tough thing to be able to complete. But it at least could have been able to give him a chance. But the moment SVG got out in front, that was it. No one was really catching him. And, I mean, I can't say I don't fault anyone. It's just, it's SVG. I remember them showing his foot cameras at Chicago the first year he even did it. It's crazy. the man's a wizard. And it's honestly, it's phenomenal to watch. Especially on the road course side. I want to see him be able to carry it over into the ovals. But right now, especially, the way that he can control the clutch and the brake, it's cool. I can't even be able to explain it all. I've seen some of the other reporters that are actually on the TV even during the race trying to explain it, and they really can't even. SVG, he doesn't think it's a big deal. He doesn't think it gives him much of an advantage even, and I think that that's real cool, and he's humble for thinking that, but all honesty, yeah, it gives him a big advantage. It isn't a bad thing. It's cool. I like to see that he could just drive away from the pack, even if he's on a little bit older tires than everyone else. Doesn't matter to him. He's just that good of a road course racer, and he knows what he's doing when it comes to him. He raced overseas in the supercars, and I think that's where he got all that knowledge. It shows that sometimes driving in other series can help you out. I know Kyle Larson's made comments for him that driving in the dirt, and Christopher Bell, he's actually made some of the same type of comments. It challenges them. It makes them better. So it's really cool to see other drivers be able to capitalize on things. I think that SVG can thank his time in his other series where, yes, he is a champion, and that it's really showing here on the road courses. Now, from there, race does stay green. Talking about the in-season challenge just a little bit earlier, just when I mentioned it, because I think it's been kind of but kind of the cool thing, I guess, Ty Dillon, who was, if I remember correctly, like the 32nd seed. Yeah, he did a little bit of a bump and run on Alex Bowman on the final lap, finishing in front of him, knocking Bowman out of the challenge and moving Ty on to the final round. It's going to be the all-Ty show. Ty Dillon versus Ty Gibbs. Oh, sorry. I guess that part won't happen for the, till the next week, but it will be the all-Ty show. But SVG just win. It's his third win of the season, and he is now third in point standings. Till Dover, anyway. It is his fourth overall Cup win. And leading into the fact that he is now, at the moment, here at the end of Sonoma, third in points for the playoffs. He's still 26 for normal season points, guys. And this is where a lot of the controversy has been coming into play. A lot of the drivers are complaining about how many road courses we're having because this isn't even the last one. We still have Watkins Glen to go. So it's like, what are we doing? Denny Hamlin even talked about it. He said this is NASCAR. Why are we having so many road courses? He's not saying zero, like they should be none at all. But he is saying that there's been quite a few. And I get that. I don't mind it. I think it's really cool how many road courses we've had this year, especially considering that one was down in Mexico. You had the Chicago street race. So those two are kind of a specialty deal. But I think part of the reason so many people are having issues with it is because you now have SVG in third place for playoff standings. A driver who does great on road courses, getting better on the oval, but still not doing great on them. And he's third. Yeah, I see why some people would complain about that. But I'm not going to blame road courses for that. I think the road courses have provided some amazing racing, even if it's not exactly with SVG. Look back at Chicago. All the fun we had there. Beating and banging Alex Bowman versus Bubba Wallace, Ross Chastain versus, I want to say it was Ryan Blaney, or if not him, Joey Logano. It was Joey Logano. Sorry, it was Joey Logano. So it was different things like that I think still makes it entertaining. Even if you have the leader that's kind of driving away a little bit. Okay, well, in some other races, whether it be on an oval or street course or a road course, same thing happens. Sometimes you have the leader check out of the race. Kyle Larson at Kansas, he kept checking out this last year. But guess what? There was great racing going on from second on back. So just because your leader checks out doesn't mean that the rest of the race is bad. And so that's why I'm not going to blame road courses. I'm going to blame the playoff system. It's the current way that it's set up. I don't have the answers. I'm not going to try and sit here and say I know how to fix it like some others are trying to say. I don't know what they should do. I just believe that something needs to change. And I'm not even going to fault SVG. I'm not going to say he doesn't deserve. I believe he should be higher up in the standings. I think we should give more points for wins. I don't like seeing, and I know I've mentioned this before, guys, but I'm just going to say it again. I don't like seeing a driver that finished second, third, or maybe even fourth or fifth in a race get more points than the driver who won the race because the other driver won stage 1 and 2 and then finished in the top 5. How? I know that I'm saying that, yet I want to say it was William Byron was one of the ones that actually did that this year, and I'm still going to complain because it's not right. And there should be a better way to do the points both throughout the race and throughout the season. I mentioned too, Kyle Larson down in Mexico. He got playoff points for getting the fastest lap, being 30-something laps down. I don't agree with it. Part of me is like, okay, that's kind of cool. At least you capitalized on something after getting taken out early in the race in an incident that wasn't your fault. Okay, kind of cool. But at the same time, it's like, but you're 30-something laps down. You were taken out in the race incident. Whether it be your own fault or you be an innocent bystander as he was, it was a racing incident. You had damage. You were out of the race for so long that you're 30-something laps down. I don't think you should get playoff points that way. And I might be one of the only ones that thinks that. I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy. But at the same time, I don't feel like I am because I've seen other people talk about this type of stuff too. And I know that NASCAR is talking about doing some overhauling, and it's got some people excited. I'm a little bit on the fence about it, and we'll see what they actually decide to change. But I'm not going to say I'm going to stop watching or anything just because of it. It just sometimes makes it where, I don't exactly agree with how everything happens. But I also don't think that the Winston points are entirely correct either. And everyone that's trying to, say, like, as much as I'm a huge Jeff Gordon fan, saying he should have 6 or 7 championships and that Jimmy Johnson should only have 3. The racing's different because of how the format is. And if we would go back in time, we would have the Winston continue on. Who knows what would have happened? I don't think we'd be able to say who would have what championships anywhere. The racing would have been different because it wouldn't have been racing for the chase or doing the playoff format as we have it now. So, and that's coming from a guy that's a huge Gordon fan. I would love for Gordon to be a 6, 7-time champion. But I'm not going to sit here and say, well, he is if you look at the points the way how it should be. No, because again, the racing's different. And I see a lot of others talk about that too. And I agree with that 100%. It's just different now. And it's unfair to compare it all to the Winston Cup. But changes should be made. Don't have all the answers. Don't even know what changes entirely. I just know that they should do something different with the way how the points are and the way how the playoff points especially are. The normal season points I don't have much issue with. I'm okay with the different points for stages and all that. I like all that. It's just the playoff point side of stuff. I would like to see some changes. So I'm going to get off my soapbox with that though. We're going to go ahead and we're going to talk about Dover. Finally, it's last weekend, Dover. Wow, what a weekend for Dover. Lots of rain. Ruined the Xfinity race's end, even if Connor Zillett got the win. I just don't ever like seeing races end that way. No matter if it's a driver I like that wins or don't like that wins, it's just not fun. Takes away from the fans' experience that are there. But Again, for the Xfinity one, it was safety, so I'm not going to complain about it. But yes, weather will come into a little bit of play with this race as well. To start it off, though, Chase Elliott, Chase Briscoe, started 1-2. Tell you, Chase Briscoe, been saying his name a lot lately. A driver that I honestly didn't really know if we'd ever see much potential out of in the past. He's always kind of been around, but never been a driver that I can say has been at the forefront. He did pretty okay with Storehaus, but not someone I would say, was a knockout or anything. He does have a win this year. He is in the number 19 car now, and he is doing really well. Battling out with SVG, being up front for quite a few races this year. He's been on the pole, and he's out there racing with Chase Elliott to start off this race. So, I like that. But neither him nor Chase, nor anybody, for that fact, got to practice or qualify due to the rain. So, that's always a fun thing. Means that at the start of the race, when the drivers were taking the green flag, was the first time they truly got to be on the track in their cars. Kind of a scary thought when you think about it. First time getting to be on that track for that year, and you're doing over 160 to 170 miles an hour with a pack of 40 other cars. Quite wild. Also quite cool. But Chase put on a great race for the first 36 laps before the first caution, which was actually just a competition caution, again, due to no practice or qualifying, kind of to allow some of the teams to be able to make some adjustments and be able to try and help the cars handle better, because they didn't get the chance to do that earlier in the weekend. They would go back green. Chase Elliott would just go ahead and take the lead away from Chase Briscoe. Just a nice little throw out too. Denny Hamlin starts to move up, gets into the top 5. Chase Elliott would win stage 1. Christopher Bell would finish 2nd, and Denny Hamlin would finish in 3rd. Chase Elliott and Christopher Bell would start stage 2, going 1-2. Denny Hamlin in 3rd, and Christopher Bell would end up taking the lead away from Chase Elliott, and he would actually go on to win stage 2 after pitting. Alex Bowman would be 2nd, Denny Hamlin 3rd, Chase Elliott 4th. Christopher Bell and Chase Elliott would actually lead stage 3 together because of the pit cycle. Denny Hamlin was 4th, Alex Bowman started in 3rd. At the start of the stage, Christopher Bell, Chase Elliott racing side by side. Bell is on the top, on the outside, and as they're going, all of a sudden Bell just gets a little loose, and at first it almost looked like there was contact. After seeing all the replays, though, there wasn't. Bell just got loose. He did solo spin. Somehow no one hit him, and he didn't even hit the wall. He spun down, was able to even go right into the pit lane entrance, but due to pit lane being closed, he did not pit. And at the time, there wasn't even that many cars in the lead lap. So, due to the caution that was caused by this, he was able to then wait for pit lane to open, was able to then pit, make it back out, lost some spots, don't get me wrong, but wasn't out of the race. Not by any means, in fact. But first, for the race, Chase and Denny would restart 1 and 2. Bowman would start 3rd. Byron would start 4th. Chase would beat Denny on the restart to take the lead. But then, Chase and Denny would end up pitting, along with most of the field. You got rain coming in, it looks like. Christopher Bell waits to pit. And he gets the lead before the caution. And yes, caution does come. And he has the lead. just a slight little sprinkle, nothing crazy, so that they don't even red flag it. They just slow down for a few laps. Christopher Bell does go into pit, get some fresh tires. Comes back out, only in 10th. That's crazy. Again, it was all just because of how many cars were on the lead lap or not, because of the cautions. But, yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. Starts second. Not even 10th. Starts second on the restart to Denny Hamlin. Starts second. Pits from first. Starts second. After a spin earlier on. Absolutely crazy. Phenomenal, but crazy. The 11 and the 20 would race for the lead as rain was in the distance yet again. And this time it looked like it could be a race ender. Denny Hamlin, though, is in the lead. And with 17 laps to go, caution is called. Not due to rain, though. Due to Ross Chastain spinning out and getting stuck on the backstretch. They have to get the wrecker out to be able to pull him out. And before the race gets going green, red flag due to rain. A lot of fans were talking, I was seeing it. A lot of racers were talking, announcers even, whether it be big time or little time guys. You know, I'm following stuff on social medias and everything as I'm sitting on my couch waiting for this rain delay. A lot were trying to say, there's no way this is getting back green. This is going to be just like the Xfinity race. This is going to be it. Might as well just call Denny Hamlin the winner now. But then all of a sudden the rain cleared after a complete downpour, absolutely drenching everything. And NASCAR gives the command to start up the dryers. They're huge, crazy jet dryers they have. And they're trucks with these awesome little squeegees attached to the front. You saw them kind of going around in some of the corners too to be able to get some of the water moved around. But they had their crews go to work. And they got that track dry and safe for them to be able to go back yellow. They did have the field go ahead and pull off of pit road, but then they did stop right in the turn, right after pit lane, after everyone cleared it, so that way they could have the jet dryers go through there. I'm sure Denny Hamlin was not loving that part. I know they said NASCAR told the drivers that's what they were going to do beforehand, but they technically lifted the red flag and went yellow for that. I understand why obviously they had the car stop and didn't bring them back around or anything, but I also kind of agreed with even what the announcers were saying. They lifted the red. Due to that, they really should have been going around taking off some laps. But they weren't. So, that, I don't know. I think that, if the race had ended differently, you would see more fans complaining about that situation. But after they finally get pit lane cleared, we do go back green with only 8 to go. Now, Denny Hamlin did not take tires. He stayed out. Chase Briscoe was one of the first ones to take tires for all 4. And he restarted outside the top 10. Well, hoping that this is just going to be 8 to go to the finish, I don't think a lot of people were even like, oh, that's going to mean anything. Yeah. On the restart, Chase Briscoe would jump up into the top 5. On the restart itself, though, you have Denny Hamlin starting first, Christopher Bell second, Larson third, Elliott fourth, Byron fifth, Bowman sixth. Gibbs versus Hendrick. I mentioned that because I won't even lie. I tweeted myself at all 4 of those teams, plus the Hendrick team overall. Work together. I'm a huge Hendrick fan, but my God. First time I've really seen 2 of the drivers work together for a win really was whenever Alex Bowman pushed Chase Elliott out in front for his win earlier this year. I've seen them almost wreck each other for the win at Martinsville for Hendrick's 40th. And I still don't understand how Mr. H was able to even watch that. But yes, you had all four of the drivers together. But do you think they actually worked together? No. If they would have, then maybe the race outcome would have been a little bit different. But no. Instead, while Denny and Bell are racing it out for the lead, I feel like this is deja vu, Bell spins again. Again. This time, the field does not miss him. And the 4 of Noah Gragson goes into the back of Byron as Byron was trying to slow up to not hit Bell, ruining all 3 of their days. And yes, my mood as well. Caution with just 7 to go. Overtime restart. Yes. Took him too long to get it all cleaned up. It is now overtime in NASCAR. So for those of you that don't know, means it's going to be a dash to the finish. We got a 2-lap shootout. If the lead car takes the white flag before any other incident happens, the next flag ends the race. Whether that be a yellow or the actual checkered, or, the one we always hate to see but has happened a few times, red flag. So here we are. Could just be 2 laps left. Denny Hamlin, my gosh, those tires, they're almost 100 laps old. He still stayed out because he was hoping this is going to be a quick to the end. And somehow he beat Christopher Bell, who had brand new tires on that last restart. So he's just hoping to be able to do it again. He's got Kyle Larson starting on his inside in second place. Then you had Chase Elliott and Chris Briscoe behind them. Chase, he would line up on the inside behind Larson. And that right there, I thought, was a major mistake. And hey, the booth agreed with me. It's almost like they could read my mind or something, because about a minute after I mentioned it, I think it was Junior, he mentioned it too. He even said, I don't know about Chase's move on that. I feel like that was a bad idea, being able to give Chase Briscoe the outside. Yep, it sure was. Because Chase pushed Denny right to the lead, when in fact, he could have done the same for Larson instead. Granted, I know it really wouldn't have been 200 guys working together, but Chase Briscoe had the fresher tires, and Chase Elliott honestly just gave him that. So, Briscoe and Denny out to the front. Denny to the lead, again, thanks to Briscoe, giving him a big old push. They both even clear Larson. Well, before Denny can even get to the white flag, more of a wreck happens behind him. Honestly, it was just a little bit of contact. Another car spun, hit the inside barrier a little bit. He just couldn't get going. Leads to yet another restart. This time, Denny Hamlin, Chase Briscoe, starting 1-2. I really thought that was going to be it. I'm like, Chase Briscoe has got this in the bag. We're going to see his second one of the year. There's no way Denny Hamlin's holding him off. No way. Yeah. Denny Hamlin not only held off Chase Briscoe for the win, on the last lap with almost 100 lap old tires, he put down the fastest lap of the race, giving him his 4th win of the season, 58 career win for NASCAR. Absolutely crazy. I really did not expect him to be able to hold off Briscoe, so the fact that he did that for his 58th win, he is now the points leader. It was Gibbs versus Hendrick. Gibbs won. You had Hamlin first, Briscoe second, Bowman third, Larson fourth, Ty Gibbs in 5th, and Chase Elliott in 6th. With Ty Gibbs finishing in 5th, that did move him with our other Ty Dillon on to the final round of that in-season challenge. I know I kind of jumped the gun earlier in the episode mentioning that, but yes, it is going to be the Ty and Ty show. At this point, I'm going to pull for Ty Dillon. I'm hoping that he can just pull off this whole Cinderella story, and honestly, part of it's just because I don't like Gibbs. I haven't liked Gibbs ever since he wrecked his teammate back in Xfinity whenever he went on to win that year. Didn't impress me then, still doesn't impress me now. Definitely not a Gibbs fan, whether it be Mr. Gibbs himself or Ty. But that's just me, but whatever. So, come on, Ty Dillon. Let's go. Standings after Dover. Playoff. Denny. Larson. Christopher Bell. SVG. Chase Elliott. That's your top 5. Driver. This is where it really changes it up, guys. Chase Elliott. William Byron. Kyle Larson. Denny Hamlin. Tyler Reddick. So you have quite a bit of a difference there. Tyler Reddick in the playoff standings is all the way back in 13th. SVG in driver standings is all the way back in 26th. The 9th place driver for the actual driver standings is Alex Bowman. Mentioning that because of the fact that when it comes to normal driver standings, you do have all the Hendrick boys in the top 10. But in playoffs, not the same, due to the fact that he is in 14th. It's all due to that win and you're in system. And this is part of the reason why I think some changes need to be made. And he's not even the only driver suffering from that. There's a few others too. It's just the one I decided to pick this week to talk about. But yeah, there's a few other drivers that are kind of in that same type of situation. So it's why the changes need to be made. Again, I don't know what changes. That's not for me to decide. I just hope they make some good changes there. A fun little thing, the Zach Brown Band. Yeah, the Chicken Fried song guy. He's also got a new song out with Snoop Dogg. He's going to be sponsoring Kyle Larson's Las Vegas car this year on October 12th. A really cool black and gold scheme. And the last time Kyle Larson drove a black and gold scheme was actually at Las Vegas in 2021. So really cool to see that. The car itself looks awesome. In fact, I watched the video of the reveal, and Kyle Larson was there with the lead singer from the band, which I would assume is Zach Brown. I can be honest, though, and say it's not my type of music. Not that much into that. The car itself, though, looks really cool. I did go ahead and listen to Zach Brown's new song with Snoop Dogg. It was entertaining. Just still not entirely my thing, but, always fun to be able to see the drivers expand out to be able to do other things like this, especially Kyle Larson. He typically only ever has HendrickCars.com or Valvoline as his sponsors. So I always like to see when he has someone else that's going to be on his car, changes it up. It's not going to be our normal blue and red and white. It's going to be black and gold. And I say blue and red and white because you got the blue and white for his normal, and then you have the red and white for his Valvoline. So that's just really fun, though. So I'm excited to see that on the track. The other thing that I want to talk about before the end of the episode is I know I'm just over that hour mark now. No Chicago for 2026. They will return in 2027, though. Instead, we're getting a crazy San Diego race for 2026. Sorry about that. My microphone stopped working. It's going to be at a naval base, Coronado. Yeah, Coronado. In San Diego. They did a really cool announcement video. Go over to NASCAR's YouTube channel to be able to check that out. And they took a couple different drivers. My favorite course they had in there was William Byron. They call him the Flame in it, so that's kind of fun. But they're having a lot of fun with this. So check that out. See them be able to be on the video with some actual Navy guys, it looks like. And I don't know, for any of you that know more about aviation, tell me what you think for the video. Is it CGI, or did they actually throw these guys in the passenger seat and take them up in the skies? I would like to know some of your guys' views on that. It's a fun video. Going to San Diego is going to be cool. Jimmy Johnson's already jumping on and saying that, hey, it's his hometown, so he's all for doing it. So I feel like we might get Jimmy Johnson back in the driver's seat at San Diego for this. They mentioned that they would be driving right by an aircraft carrier and some helicopters and stuff. So I feel like this could be a really cool race. Lots of fun to be had with it. Also brings up the question, is this something that NASCAR is going to keep doing? Are we going to keep going to other tracks and kind of, or other cities, and doing different little street races or road courses? They are calling this one a street race. I've seen other people say, well, they've raced at bases in the past and they called them road courses, so do all those need to be recategorized as street courses? I don't know. I'm not really going to get into that debate. I just still think it's really cool that they're even doing this. Brings more attention to the sport overall. I saw a lot of people asking questions about, how is this going to be allowed? How are people going to get in? Obviously, they wouldn't be doing this if they didn't have some sort of idea. So I'm not too worried about it. We'll kind of see how it all plays out, but I really don't think it's going to be too worrisome. I believe it's all going to be just fine. Until next time, though, everybody, that's really all I got for the NASCAR side of things. I will see you all, or I guess technically you will hear me tomorrow as I post part 2 of episode 6. Have a great day. Stay safe, y'all. Bye.